This is Marco from Social Innovation Exchange. I'm the Asia lead of 6, and Luis is our executive director. So this session, we are very honored to have the sponsorship from the Hong Kong Council of Social Services to make this happen. And at 6, this global dialogue, which is also the open duet at the 6 Wayfinder, is a session that we bring together thought leaders, practitioners to talk about our future of social innovation. And this open duet, we are going to talk about how community react and the resilient citizens action happen in Thailand and in Hong Kong. So we are very honored to have Bosco from WEDO Global from Hong Kong to be with us. And also we have Sanon from Thailand, which is Locall Thailand, to share with us their journey. So we have been seeing a lot of community-led innovation, and community and citizens are at the heart of social innovation. Grassroots networks, organizations, they are deeply embedded in the community and seeking to tackle everyday challenges. So how citizens' actions shape our society and how our society is driven by people pioneering new solutions and developing skills to make a difference. So during the pandemic, I'm sure everyone from around the world will see countless citizens' action in supporting the community. So Bosco and Sanon is one of the 2 examples from our friends in our network, and I know they're doing a lot of good work in Thailand and in Hong Kong. So that's why we want to bring both of them together to share with us and to share with us the experience, the insight, and also how they see communities can play a role in times of crisis and even in the future. So thank you everyone for joining us. And maybe to start with, I'll invite Bosco to share a little bit. Where are you coming from? Who are you? And your context. And then maybe we'll have Sanon to share a little bit about what you're doing. So over to you, Bosco.
Thanks, Marco. So this is Bosco, and I'm coming from a social enterprise called WEDO Global. So we have been working together with the ethnic minorities community here in Hong Kong. And the major population of these ethnic minorities would be from the South Asian backgrounds. So before the pandemic, actually we work by providing training and working opportunities so that they can guide the tours in different districts in Hong Kong, because Hong Kong is pretty small, while you can get to everywhere easily. But still there are places where there are kind of segregation, like people who are from South Asians, they live in particular areas and spaces. So we train up the cultural ambassadors from their communities, and they guide the majority of us to actually enter their society and community, to actually learn more about their cultures and to break through some kind of perceptions and stereotyping issues, because there are real interactions in between. So this is the work that we have been doing. And during the pandemic, we totally swapped to another type of business model. So I will share later on. Thanks, Marco.
Thank you, Bosco. So you guys are doing something very interesting about multicultural exchange and how to harness different cultures' energy in building an inclusive society. So may I now invite Sanon to talk a little bit about your work and your context in Thailand. And it's very interesting to have Hong Kong, Thailand at this particular of time era, the multi-alliance. But yeah, tell us a little bit about your work, your background, and the origins of your work.
Yeah, thank you, Marco. Actually, right now I need to go to the street together with my friends. Anyway, my name is Sanon, and my work basically I start with the social enterprise. I call it inclusive business. I started a hostel in the old town of Bangkok 6 years ago. And that time, Old Town, if you know, Old Town in Bangkok is like very abandoned from the developing of the government or the people, because the Old Town basically is for the tourists. But however, 6 years ago, I and a lot of friends in the network, we want to, reshape and revitalize the Otao. So we start the hostel and want to connect with the new generation in the Otao. We start the network called Satharana, which is in Thai. Is a word in Thai, Satharana, but the meaning is public. So it means that we do something for public in many angles. So start from hostel and start from the tour and the community development program with the people. And right now we have public transportation initiative with the government to change the bus stop in Bangkok. So basically we do a lot of things connecting the young generation to do something with the city and the community that they live in. So that is what we are doing. Yeah.
That's very interesting. So the reason why I bring you guys together is basically your work is very embedded in the community and working together with the community. So I'm sure in the past year, because of COVID, there are definitely threats to the community. But at the same time, I'm sure I read things about you guys doing, like you see opportunity. So can you tell us a little bit the story and how do you embrace the citizens' power and the community essence? So maybe Bosco can share a little bit more about your thoughts.
Yeah, sure. Because our motto, as mentioned, we perform a lot of community tours that we actually work with different stakeholders in the community, with mainly the ethnic minority communities. So during early this year, when the pandemic first started, so we could not perform our tours. So we try to see what we can support to the communities. And at that time, everyone was lacking of masks. So we try to gather resources and gather the surgical masks and to distribute in the communities. Because we find out that the ethnic minority communities, they usually receive the information pretty late. And they also do not understand about whether the information is correct or not. Because many of them, especially for the older generations, they are facing some kind of language and cultural barriers. And for the younger generation, they are better because they receive the local education, but still the language barrier and the cultural barrier still exists in their families. So at that time, we tried to conduct a lot of distribution activities, and we had some dialogues with the community members and realized that many of them started to lose their jobs, or their working hours are actually being cut down. So at that time, we try to discuss with them and see how we can provide support. But actually, if we just provide, financial support or other resources, it's not sustainable because it's just one way. So we have to realize and find out what kind of strengths our community members have and how we can utilize their strengths in this pandemic time to actually contribute to the society, while they can also receive some financial incomes with that actions. So we realized that many of the South Asian ethnic minorities, actually they sew their clothes at home. So we were thinking, because of the lacking of masks, whether they could sew the mask at home at that time. So we started this interesting project that we engage a fashion designer friend and to try to, invent and try to design a very culturally vibrant mask covers, because at that time, many of them rely on the surgical mask, while it cannot be, using for a whole day, because it will, make you uncomfortable if you use it from morning till evening. So with the mask cover, you can actually insert the mask inside, and it can prolong the usage of your surgical mask. And at the same time, you can also put other type of filter inside. So for this project, it's actually giving financial support for those ladies who sew the mask from their home after receiving the training. And our team is actually preparing all the raw materials And we have to meet them at the MTR, which is the railway station, because they are living in different districts. But as mentioned, Hong Kong has an advantage, which is pretty close when you go to everywhere. So it's actually very accessible to reach out to them while they can collect the materials closer area to their home, and then they can sew at home. And our staff can actually collect the materials and come back to office to do the quality check, and then we sell it. So at every one we sold, we would donate one to the grassroots senior citizens and grassroots ethnic minorities members as well. So it can actually provide different layers of support towards the community. So this is the work that we have been doing during the pandemic time.
So it's very interesting to see how you shift the power from a receiver to active contributors of the community for the ethnic minorities in Hong Kong to contribute to the community. So that is a very I would say a major rationale behind most of your projects, as far as I know. So thanks for your sharing. How about Sanon? What did you do in the pandemic, and how do your work support the community? I've heard about that, but there are a lot of audience who would love to know more. So can you tell the
Yeah, so I will talk about the old town. Basically, I'm work only specific in the old town mostly. So once we open the hostel, we trying to share the opportunity with the community. For example, when we have a lot of guests coming in the hostel, we have a walking tour. We have a workshop with the communities. We have a community development program that we participate between the foreigners and also the local people. These happened along 6 years since I started, and there are a lot of change in the community that it's coming a lot of new generation open their own shops, and then they come back home to open their own. During pandemics, we have a lot of program that we talk with the people in the past, in the community in the past. For example, we do the new menu list for the old restaurant, local shops, street food, and we have a lot of database around our area, our communities. So everyone knows that pandemic bring everyone to stay home, and we cannot go out. So basically, delivery food, everything need to coming on hand. But in the fact that a lot of local people never entry to that digital economy in Thailand, especially in the old town where there are a lot of poverty, there are a lot of development gaps between the people in the downtown and the people in the old town. So what we're trying to do is to bridge the gaps. How can we empower the people in the local? We used to empower when we have a economic opportunity, for example, the foreigners, right? In the past, in the tourism to the local already. But now it's different from the past. How can we help and empower them to go to the digital economy, to the delivery? So what we are doing is to be the friends to support the platform that can basically help the local restaurant, local shops to join in this platform without fee. But we're trying to leverage the communities. So the customer, you can buy food during the pandemic with many restaurants in one time. Basically, in the past, you can go to the delivery platform and you can buy only one restaurant, right? But once I and a lot of community work together, if you buy one time, you can order 10 restaurants in a row, and the transportation will be only one time, and the cost will be very less because of we bundle a lot of restaurants. So we start the new platform named Locall Thailand. Start with our own community first, And once the pandemic come in the whole countries, it organically expand to 12 hub, 5 cities within 2 weeks, because of it's helped a lot of local restaurant, to survive and to um, sell in the pandemic. So yeah, basically we do the delivery platform, um, and help a lot of local restaurant, in many area. Right now we have 5 cities. Yeah, so that is basically what we are doing in the pandemic, Marco.
Yeah. So I see a lot of similarities between you guys. Like when you guys are very embedded in the community and have a very close relationship with the community, both like geographically, since it's the Thailand Bangkok Old Town, and also of course with a group like a minority group in Hong Kong, as Bosco mentioned. So what during the work, like I'm sure it's not easy since you guys have been starting for more than 5 years. Like, are there any particular thing that moves you and drives you to do your work every day? Like, what drives you? Like, I'm sure it's not easy in times of crisis like this. What drives you to continue working on this? Any one of you can share.
Maybe I start first. Actually, what drives me and my team is actually the changes that we can see from the community members. I still remember because we have a lot of youth program for our ethnic minority children and also youth. Starting from when they first joined, they couldn't speak up, and especially very shy, and also especially in the local language Cantonese, they were very hesitate to speak and communicate in the local language because they didn't have the confidence, and then they thought that they spoke really worse. But during all the interaction and in our organization, we keep encouraging them because here we don't laugh at you. We just encourage you and we provide opportunities for you. And they can actually interact with the older generations as well that they didn't really have the chance before. So all these, especially now in the pandemic, we started to have distribution, right? Just now mentioned, for people buy one, we donate one. So we organize a lot of donation activities to the senior citizens as well. So the ethnic minorities youth, they actually join us together for this campaign. And the senior citizens were so impressed when they were, speaking in the local language with them. And then they felt so impressed, and then they felt so warm as well, because even ethnic minority members are contributing the society and to give them love and care. So this is a very beautiful thing that our team would be very, very proud of ourselves and keep us driving us to achieve more. So we try to work with different celebrities now here in Hong Kong and to promote this concept so that we can when people buy more, we can donate more. We can reach out to more needy groups in Hong Kong society.
Sanon, like what drives you? What keeps you doing this for so many years?
Yeah, I think the things we do is we do for our own communities. Sometimes people say that if you do social work, you need to be like dedicated. You need to be like give to others only, and you need to be like you don't have money, and So basically, I think I think for us, we also do for ourselves, because if the community is better, we live in the better community. So that's why we want to change. And that's why we want to drive what we are doing. So for example, during the pandemic, I doesn't want the restaurant that I go every day die, and you cannot eat this restaurant again. So we need to save the restaurant that we love. We need to save the community that we love. And there's too many ignorance in the city. Like we see a lot of potential in the city that can turn into the better way, and we believe that actually citizens have a power to change it. No need to wait for the government. No need to wait for the big corporation to donate the money to do. So within the power of the citizen and within the ignorance that we see, I think that drives us that, hey, this is our city, that this is our country. So that's why we want to live in the better country. We want to live in the better city. So that is drive us, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, I think what I hear is the love of your city and the passion for better community that you're part of. And I'm sure this resonates Bosco also, right?
Yes, because we all want to build a better city. So with our action, rather than relying on, like a lot of support or waiting for the government to do something. So it's actually community led as the topic today. So it's actually very, very good point.
Yeah. So tell us a little bit more like your thoughts on, because Sanon mentioned a little bit about like citizens' power, like people's power. How do you see this as we are talking about like resilient action, citizens action, and we are at one of the Wayfinder Open Duet events. We always talk about the future. How do you see people's power in the coming period of time post-pandemic? How and what does that mean to your work in your context, in your country? Maybe Sanon or either of you can share a little bit about your thoughts.
Maybe I go first. So for people's power, it could be seen actually a very impressive movement last year. That like a group of friends, Chinese and non-Chinese, especially our ethnic minorities friends, come together to try to conduct a lot of good acts and supporting the people in the Hong Kong society for the positive ways that a big group of Hong Kong local citizens actually want to thank them and support them, that they all go together to their community. Like there's a place in Hong Kong called Chongqing Mansion. I'm not sure whether the participants today know about this place. So it's actually it was a scary place at the old times, because there were very messy and also a lot of drugs and a lot of gangsters inside who are living there. So and now it's totally different, because it becomes a place where our ethnic minorities friends are doing business, and there are a lot of accommodation inside as well. But still, a lot of local people try to avoid that place because it looks scary and it sounds unsafe for them to enter. But last year, a big group of crowd, more than 3,000 people, actually lined up to enter this place and to actually waiting for a tour, people to guide them inside. And the reason why was because of the good acts that these ethnic minorities friends actually did in the community at that time during the political movement. So the people's power came back to thank them. But at the same time, the people were still very scared, especially for the older generation as well, because they didn't know how to communicate, with the minority group. And then they just wanted to, join a tour where there are a tour guide to introduce, and that sort of things. So it was very crowded at that time. And I could feel the people power at that time, because in my whole life, I never see this place, people line up outside to wait to go inside. So it's really beautiful. And I'm sure after the pandemic, people power towards, like what people are doing right things. And then, people just want to support. People are just more conscious about having this conscious mind about supporting, fair trade stuff, and then supporting, people who are doing with the goodwills. So I'm very hopeful for the post-pandemic situation. And of course, for example, the works that Sanon is doing is actually worth supporting. So I believe a lot of tourists from Hong Kong Like even for us, we will perform, community tours. We have overseas tours actually to Israel, to South Korea, to different places before. And I'm sure after the pandemic, first thing we should go to support Sanon to your good work.
Yeah. Sanon, can you tell us a little bit how you see like the capacity of citizens? How can you, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, thank you. So basically, I start from very small, issue and small problem in my own communities, and I see that once we communicate that, hey, you can do something, everyone, want to help and want to give what they have to make their own house, own community better. What I can speak like this because there are a lot of issue that we never known that we can do in the city or in the communities. Basically, we think that, hey, actually it's a government work, it's the city mayor work or something like that. What we are trying to test is when we have crisis, we will see that, hey, there are a lot of effort from the people to give what they can help. We used to have the flood, the big flooding in Bangkok, like I believe that is like 10 years ago, around that, in Bangkok, and a lot of people come to help each other, trying to give what they have, and make a better city together. But during the Ramanai, King Ramanai passed away ceremony, people need to come to the old town because the ceremony is coming, in the old town, and I believe that the whole Thailand people need to go there to participate in the ceremony. What we see is an opportunity to develop the old town, and in my community and with our passion. So once we know that, what we are trying to do is, hey, it's not only come here, we can do something more, right? So we have 1 year to prepare the ceremony. So that 1 year I do a lot of project that, hey, let improve the old town. One of the project that we achieve a lot is Bangkok Bus Stop in the old town. We started, hey, there are a lot of people, not only Bangkok people, but more than 60 million people need to come from other province. So they never know how to mobilize, how to transport in Bangkok. So it is an opportunity that everyone in Bangkok can help. And we got a lot of volunteer, we got a lot of designer, we got the industrial engineer to help suggest which material you need to do. We got a lot of nerd, like bus nerd, that they know every numbers, every route. I think they know more than the government because data is not updated. But yeah, but a lot of people are coming to help. We collect the participant and the volunteer. It's more than 1,000 people coming to help this small project for only small town, old town in Bangkok. And after the ceremony, we expanded to the entire city. And right now we do in other city as well for the public transportation improvement. So this is a small example that I think once you see the crisis or once you see the problem as an opportunity, and you guys like open the floor to ask for help or ask for volunteer, I think that time the collaboration is coming. That time the power of the citizen will happen, and we can have like the innovation happen that moment. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's the other day we have another session, another open duet talking about how to facilitate community innovation through bridging cross-sector people. From what Sanon you mentioned just now, actually you have crowdsourced a lot of like people talent and skills in this bus project, in this bus stop project. And ultimately you are having a prototype and then having a system change in the whole Bangkok, in having the transportation updated. And often one thing I think is very beautiful, actually, the intelligence lies in people. Maybe the government don't know that much also. Like they host more data, they host more daily knowledge than the institutions or the governance body. And that is something that we see the power of the community and to contribute. At this time point, I would like to invite for questions from our attendees, our participants. If you have any questions for us, for Bosco and Sanon, feel free to drop in the Q&A box, and we'll answer that. At this point, I would like to invite both Bosco and Sanon to ask each other a question, like about a work, about ask each other a question, and I'll leave the time to you guys.
Sure. I actually have a question because I know your fantastic work with the community members, but still, like during the pandemic, it's actually very difficult for people because a lot of people have to buy takeaways that they stay home, right? So is there any ways to also balance maybe the environmental impacts that, you know, a lot of waste may be generated because of the takeaway things? So is there any innovative ideas that you and your team can think of, like how to, you know, help the community members, but at the same time also to avoid such, you know, like maybe some waste created because of this?
Yeah, I think in the big picture, we can do not much because anyway people need to like have you know the takeaway package anyway. But what we trying to do is we can minimize the package, and we trying to change the material that is more friendly to the environment, and you know yeah. So what we are doing is we see that a lot of delivery platform, they don't ask much, like you know, Asian food, we have a lot of how can I say, add on like sugar, like you know, like a lot of, you know, when you you buy one, but you have a five sauce,
many things.
yeah. So what we are doing is in our platform you can we have a checkbox that do you want this sauce, or which sauce do you want, or either the spoon or fork, you can like minimize that as well. So I think there's small things, but in, you know, if you have many transactions, it can create a lot of impact as well. So this kind of thing that we're trying to think about. But I think for the big picture, if we have delivery, anyway, there's a packaging. So yeah, that is what we are doing. Yeah.
You mentioned very well, because if there are choices in your system where people can select,
Exactly.
for example, like, you know, I don't need any utensils, or I don't need, you know, this type of sauce or something, it can actually helps because in Hong Kong, a lot of restaurants, they just give you, you don't have choice.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's very important that you have this, you know, keep in mind in the system that you're building. So of course, long term, if there are any substitutes that you can think of to replace some of the maybe plastic waste, then that would be even better. Fantastic.
Yeah. Right.
Awesome.
So before Sanon asks Bosco, there's a question from the audience. SJ Room asked that communities can be also polarizing, like other than the beautiful story we mentioned. It can be very polarizing, fragmented. How do you bridge communities that have very different perspectives or and different political or social background? Like how do you address this? Have you come across this, and how did you address that? So yeah.
Actually, that's a very good question, because for our works, as especially we work with people from different cultural backgrounds. So usually we come across people who are more open-minded, but at the same time we also come across people who are more traditional. So it takes time for people who are more traditional mindset to actually accept and be integrated into the society, because as polarized concept means you get more extreme to one side. So in our approach, we try to train up our community members to try to be the bridge, because those who are the most open-minded people, and they are the change agents. So we need these people to actually spread the message in the community, to try to let the people who are more traditional mindset to actually see the possibilities. For example, we train up a lot of ethnic minorities women, ladies, because in their cultures, women, they don't really encourage them to come out to work, usually stay home to take care of their family members. That's the traditional thinking. But what we see is the possibilities of this group of talented people, that they can study in the university. They can also come out to actually be empowered and be the change agents as well, and to actually work for the community and contribute to the community. So we actually train them up, and they actually go to the community, being the cultural ambassadors and tour guide, to actually share with the participants. And a lot of community members could see them. So it posed the impact to actually let the members to see the possibilities. Oh, actually they can do it, and then they can do it pretty well. And then they don't necessarily to be only staying at home, but they can also be part of the community members and contribute on behalf of the communities. So they feel very impressed. So it's actually feel a little bit difficult at the very beginning, but we have to always locate those who are willing to work together to be the starting point. And slowly, we try to get people, to come together, rather than being the other two sides polarized. So that's our approach. Thanks for the question.
And I think the visibility and their understanding, the willingness of understand each other perspective. How about Sanon? I'm sure it's very difficult now in Thailand, but what's your view? Like, how did you do that?
I think we there's one concept that we believe that why we start our work, because we believe in the power of like decentralization. We believe that each community, they need to have the power to develop their own communities, or their own city. That is a root of what we believe. And once we found that our community practice, maybe the innovation that we practice is work, we trying to give the lesson, trying to expand what is work for our community to other communities. But it doesn't mean that other community need to like use everything that my community work to do that in that community. So basically what we're trying to do is we're trying to be friends with other communities, and we're trying to be we want to learn from them as well, because we believe that other communities, they might have their own innovation and the practice that we can learn and can get into my community too. So that basically, I'm not sure I'm answering the question, but I believe that we don't have the platform that can fix and use in every community that they use our platform. So yeah, basically that is the answer.
Yeah, I think it's beautiful to see how you see relationship building is important, and this is something that at Six we talk a lot. And also, other than relationship building, how do you celebrate the diversity among different people from different background or from different communities to work together and be the bridge to make them, connect them. We have another question. It's what keeps you awake at night, and what is really difficult about your work? Like, yeah, do you have anything that, oh, I can't sleep, I kept thinking about that, and what are the really difficult stuff that you're dealing always, like at your work? Enlighten us.
I'm really good at sleep, so normally, I think maybe about the challenge that this come during this time in Thailand. You know, it's not only COVID, but okay, also the political instability. I believe that we don't know tomorrow, like, you know, what is going on and what's going to be. What we need to ensure is our team need to be safe, and our team need to be like have their own future too. So maybe my biggest things that make me awake is like what happened to my team, and if they're safe or they're okay or not. Just that.
Yeah, like always your counterparts, your co-workers. Yeah. How about Bosco?
For me, actually, when I see people who actually suffer, and because of, you know, no matter it's financial issue or, for example, like political issue as well. So it also kept me awake, especially last year. Sometime that I couldn't sleep because of this. But of course, I think there are a lot of people who need support during this time because of the pandemic and because of the society situation, that we cannot, you know, help all the people at one time. Just through, as mentioned, maybe some innovative ideas and from the community led, we try to, you know, do it step by step and try to facilitate, for example, like this platform is very good that we can get inspired from each other. So I hope this can be, you know, like some of the ways that we can support each other.
Yeah. So I see a lot of commonalities between you guys. Like you guys are very open-minded, but at the same time, a very sentimental person who are very close to the community. You feel for the people, you feel for your co-workers. That is very important elements as the social innovators to me. And that's why I think this keeps you like driving your work every day and night. So we have another question we have another two questions actually from the crowd. So Ken Ao from Japan did ask a little bit like more macro level, like during the pandemic, like how did the government work or not to help the people in need from a perspective, and how did civil society work, and did the dynamics change before and after the pandemic? Can you share a little bit of your observation in your context? Yeah, in terms of community work, how civil society and government relations and the dynamics. Maybe Bosco can start first.
Yep, sure. And Marco, you can also supplement because you're also from Hong Kong, right?
Yeah, it's a big question, but yeah.
So actually, as mentioned at the very early stage, people lack of mask at that time, which is very important ways to prevent the disease of spreading. So our government tried their best to provide the supplies at that time, but in vain. And when the situation gets better, they actually provide more masks and try to, you know, put a lot of, you know, money into making a lot of masks at that time as well. While people think that is it a good time at that time to put a lot of resources and money to provide supplies, while it is already, you know, not a necessity and not in a very lack of resources at this time of situation. So for this, actually, I would believe for the civil society or social enterprise, it actually works better because it responds to the market situation. And if there is a big demand, then we try to act really quickly, really fast. But of course, in the government level, it takes time for them to react. So normally, if the situation happens, so maybe after a few months, they try to address the issue, which is a few months before, and it's always the time lacking. So I see there's a gap in between like this. So if there are more, civil society or social enterprises trying to, like act really quickly to respond to the situation, is always the best, rather than, having the government to act, because it takes time for them to actually respond. And when they respond and act, it might not be the right time because of the situation already is different. So yeah, please supplement, Marco.
Yeah, I think, yeah, I see the same, like the response time, and also how do we harness the intelligence from the people and the reaction. Yeah, that is important. How do you see the same, Sanon?
Yeah, I'm very envy you guys. But anyway, for Thailand, I think we governed by the military government, and their strength is the safety net, and to make city and the country safe from everything. So that's why the pandemic is not expand too much, because they have a very strong regulation about how to close the border, and also to manage within the city or the community. And it have a lot of like I think it's very good job for the government to move this kind of thing to inside the each city and each community to be aware, and to have a marks, and to have everything on hand, right in the hand. But the big problem is coming to the economic crisis, because there is a pain and gain, right? You need to trade with the safety. You need to trade with the economics or everything. And what is very challenging is because the government, they don't do something for maybe for the low income people. It's mostly the policy is for like the big corporation. It's very hard for the SMEs and the people in the community that can survive. For example, they have a policy for soft loan, which is very low interest rate, but that will give only for the one who have credit, good credit in the bank. So I think it's not go down to the SME anyway. And a lot of policy that trying to make everyone safe is, is go in different way of trying to encourage the economy or the economic inside. And our GDP is rely on tourism, almost 20%. Like it's very big. That's why the big crisis is on the economy. That's why a lot of social sector trying to help each other a lot. There's not only what I'm doing in Locall, but there are a lot of help in each other, during the COVID, like give the food to the community that, really need a lot of initiative that help local people. That's happened for, it's a picture of Thailand.
Yeah. So I think it's yeah, it's very interesting to see how different contexts, but we also see how the citizens' reaction, even we are having a very different political structures and context and background, but communities really play an important role to support each other. And one last question before we end the call is, are you hopeful about the future? What do you want your cities or your communities to look like in the coming 10 years?
Of course, as a social entrepreneurs, I believe we all feel hopeful because otherwise we would choose, not to stay in the society or in the community, try to move to other places. So whether it's hopeful or not, it depends on how we as the citizen actually work for the community like now, so that we can create a hopeful picture and the future for us. So in 10 years, of course, it's quite long because we are not too sure about what to expect in the future because nobody expects the pandemic, right? So it's so sudden. So, but we all hope to, live happily in our society and community. And we also hope that the resources can be, shared more equally so that, people like, no matter they are rich or poor can, like live very happy life in the society. So this is what we envision in our team. And of course, we have more like-minded people, I believe, like Marco and also other people. I'm sure Sanon also is one of the like-minded people. So we hope to create, like a meaningful platform like you guys. So we try to connect together locally and internationally. So to make more impacts for our upcoming years, to make people feel more happy and live more happy in our society, regardless of our language, race, backgrounds. So this is what we should look for our future society.
Thanks.
Yeah. I think it's very big question in Thailand this moment about the future of Thailand, and I used to hopeful in this society because I never see how great and how active citizens, how there's too many active citizens nowadays. Is um, is the most how can I say, people that I see since I born. This time is like very important time for Thailand, because I see what happened in Hong Kong, in Taiwan, and a lot of young generation going right. But this is the first time that young generation coming and to the street, and they hope about their future and they want to change the society. I think this is the very hopeful situation in Thailand. And also there is a very sensitive and how can I say, I'm not sure the English word, but it's very critical moment for the two generation in Thailand. It's like a little bit crash, and we need to have some solution to figure out how we can live together. Not, it's not the country for only young generation, it's not the country only for the old generation, or it's not the country for the left or the right. We need to compromise and we need to find a way. And right now it's a big question for us. So I believe that I don't have the answer, and I believe that no one have an answer, but only way that we can do is to not only fight the past, but we need to build the future too. And I believe that what Bosco do and what Marco trying to network us is we need to see the future and create what we want to see in the future as well. And I think a lot of active citizens that coming nowadays, they want to create that future as well. I see this as an opportunity for the social sector, like me myself, or Bosco in Hong Kong, or other people in other city, that we need to use this opportunity to let people not only fight the past but create a future too. That is, I think I have hope. Yeah.
Thank you so much. I think it's a good a way to end up our conversation. We are a little bit overrun, but I think it's really beautiful as social innovators. How do we provide alternative imagination, and not only sticking to the past, but how do we use our own power to create a better future for the things we love, like our city, our society, together with the community. So thank you so much for sharing your story, Bosco. Thank you for sharing your story, Sanon. And I think all of us learn a lot from your experience. So thank you for contributing. And this is the open duet at the 6th Wayfinder. And we are very happy to got a sponsorship from the Hong Kong Council of Social Service to make this happen. And if you would love to follow Bosco and Sanon's work, go online and search WEDO Global and Locall Thailand. You'll see a lot of their news coverage and and follow on their social medias. So thank you so much for everyone, and we'll definitely connect again in the future to exchange. So yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you for having me. Thank you.
Thank you for your
Thank
time.
you. Bye bye.